Did you know that 1 out of every 2 Maruti Victoris buyers chooses the CNG version? And did you also know that the LXI base variant is one of the more preferred trims in the Victoris range? So just what makes it so appealing? How's the CNG mileage? Does it really feel underpowered? Is boot space adequate? And should you just buy the petrol version instead? We've lived with the Victoris LXI CNG and put it through our exhaustive tests. And in this video, we're going to answer all these questions. Before we talk about the CNG version, here's a quick refresher. The Victoris sits in the mid-size SUV segment, taking on rivals like the Hyundai Creta and Kia Seltos. Underneath, it's essentially a Grand Vitara, but while the Grand Vitara is sold through Maruti's Nexa dealerships, the Victoris is available through the much larger Arena network. Like the Grand Vitara, it offers a wide range of powertrains. There's a 1.5-litre petrol with manual and automatic options, an all-wheel drive automatic, a strong hybrid, and then there's this, the CNG version. In CNG guys, this 1.5-litre engine makes 88 horsepower and 122 Nm of torque. Hence, let's start with the most important question. So does this 1.5-litre petrol engine feel underpowered? Truth be told, it lacks the excitement and the pulling power of its 1-litre turbo petrol rivals. That said, the Victoris has displacement to its advantage, and as a result, it feels smooth, it feels responsive, throttle responses feel nice, and it feels very easy to drive. Quite honestly, keeping up with traffic at legal speeds on this side of 4000 RPM, the Victoris has adequate pep to keep most users satisfied. And what if you need to climb a steep incline with a full load of passengers? Well, that's not a problem. The Maruti Victoris CNG manages it without much fuss. You only need to be mindful of being in the right gear at all times. However, when it comes to quick overtakes, that's when you'll have to work this engine harder, and that's when you'll notice the difference between petrol and CNG mode. While driving around in petrol mode, the engine spins freer and more eagerly. In CNG, it feels a bit more restrained. Expectedly, petrol mode is much quicker. That said, whether you're driving in petrol or CNG mode, beyond 100 km per hour, performance tapers quite sharply. And what about the gearbox? Now here's where the Victoris holds a distinct advantage over all its rivals. Its 5-speed manual gearbox is one of the best around. The shifts are smooth, the throws are positive and slick, and the gates are well defined. That, coupled with a smooth and progressive clutch, make for an effort-free driving and make rowing through this gearbox a breeze. And now for the big one. What mileage does this CNG version return? Now to test the mileage of this car, we ran the tank dry completely, then filled it with 2 kilos of gas, drove on a city loop, and repeated the process for the highway loop. In our tests, it returned 18 kilometers per kilogram in city and 26 kilometers per kilogram on the highway, the latter being impressively close to Maruti's claimed figure of 27 kilometers per kilogram. And before you ask, yes, these tests were conducted with the aircon running set to full auto mode at 22 degrees. And what are the average speeds, you ask? Well, they were 18 kilometers per hour in the city and 55 kilometers per hour on the highway. Now, obviously, if you have lighter traffic with lesser stop-go conditions, efficiency is certainly likely to improve. So overall, this 55-litre CNG tank can accommodate about 7.5 to 8 kilograms of CNG, depending on the time of day and the pump pressure, and as a result, an average tank range of about 180 kilometers is something you can expect from the Victoris CNG. Does it feel nice to drive? Thanks to its sorted underpinnings and a truly well-judged suspension, the Victoris inspires great confidence on pretty much every road. It exudes a sense of toughness in the way it smothers tiny undulations and even absorbs the sharpest of road shocks in its stride. Even as you up the pace, this Maruti rides flat without any unnecessary body movements. Is it safe? On paper, yes. You get 6 airbags, ESP, ABS with EBD, and all the essential modern safety features as standard. Now here's the important bit. The petrol and the hybrid versions of the Victoris have been crash tested by Bharat NCAP and have been awarded 5 stars for their crash safety. The CNG version, however, hasn't been tested yet. So even though the CNG version shares its basic structure and the safety features with its petrol and hybrid counterparts, the 5-star rating does not apply to this CNG version. So is the base LXI variant the one to buy? Well, for 11.5 lakh rupees, you get a lot of features for your money. You get kit like projector headlamps, electric mirror adjustment, keyless entry, a 7-inch touchscreen with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, a dual-colored interior, automatic climate control with physical buttons, an engine start-stop button, 3 rear adjustable headrests, 3 3-pointed seat belts, rear AC vents, and a central armrest. Is the rear seat comfortable, you ask? Well, the seat is quite comfortable. You're seated in a chair-like position. The seating is a bit elevated, so you have a good view outside. Footroom is very good actually. Knee room is good too, and headroom is just about adequate. Seating 3 here will be a bit of a squeeze. A Creta, Seltos, or even a Sierra are more suited to carry 3 abreast in the rear. And what about boot space? Now, because of the clever positioning of its CNG tank beneath its body, its boot remains largely practical and usable for everyday needs. Now, as you can see, we've managed to store 2 cabin bags, 2 haversacks, and there's also room for more small items. And speaking of underbody CNG tank, is ground clearance affected? Quite honestly, that's not something you need to be concerned about. Ground clearance is more than adequate. Where's the spare tire? Unfortunately, there isn't one. And there's no space to store one either. What you get from factory though is a puncture repair kit. So should you buy petrol or CNG? The answer to that purely depends on your usage. If your annual running is high and low fuel costs are your priority, then the CNG is a no-brainer. The drivability is good, the efficiency is excellent, and even though the CNG costs a lakh more than a corresponding petrol, that premium you will recover rather quickly. In summary, the Maruti Victoris is a sensible, practical, very efficient and value for money midsize SUV. After living with this car and extensively testing it, it's not hard to see why nearly 50% of the buyers are driving home the CNG version.